my role model, my hero. I try to live my life like he has.
My father is my hero, of course, because he raised me up without caring all the terms and conditions. He'll give me all the best he can.
He means everything to me, even though he's a very quiet person, and we often argue each other. Even then, we're close to one another.
He's like our hero in financial. He always taught us how to manage our finances, and he always tell us to go for our dreams.
To be honest, my dad is more like a pillar of strength. He's always been there for us. Although he has been retired already, he has been doing a very, very good house husband these days. So we try to contribute back, in whatever way of happiness that he can achieve.
Yes, that's right. Someone who gives unconditional love and your hero as well. That's what a lot of you said about what your fathers mean to you. Okay, now we have someone here who I'd like to introduce, Mr. Ravi Shankar, who is the president of the Association of Fostering Family Ties and a single father of two. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning to you. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Happy Father's Day in advance.
Oh, fabulous. Thank you.
So I understand that you're a single dad.
Yes, I am.
Was it by choice or not by choice?
Not by choice.
Okay, but before that, now you have an association of for fostering family ties. And what's the association all about? Maybe you can tell us a little bit about that.
Well, what's been happening is there has been this whole, if I may have to touch on a very sensitive topic.
Please, go ahead.
A divorce.
Okay.
Okay. Divorce brings about a situation where a mother ends up being single, and for every single mother, there's a single father.
Okay.
In the context of divorce, of course. And due to that, we are automatically thrust into this world where you've got these children who look up to you and said, hey, I had this perfect world, and all of a sudden, I've got to find out, or work around and see, oh, this is my mother, time with my mom. Maybe I get once a month with my dad, whom I'm used to seeing all the time.
Yes.
So I've had to deal with all those little bits and pieces as I went along this process.
Personally for you?
Personally,
okay.
yes. And sometimes we lose contact with our children due to legal reasons.
Okay.
Where there are times we'll say, oh, custody is now awarded.
So what was your journey like? I mean, how long ago were you divorced, and what was the struggle like for you?
Well, personally, I got separated from my ex in 2004.
Okay.
That's
How
like
old were the
11
kids? You've got two children,
yes,
right?
I have.
Yes.
The eldest is now 21.
Ah, okay.
So at that point in time, he was 10.
Okay.
My youngest was 4 at that time. Today, he's 15.
The two boys.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. And the sad part is they had to undergo trauma.
Because they say that the kids, more often than not, are the brunt of it all.
Yes.
They are the ones who are going through the hardest of times. And at ages 10 and 4,
yes,
they do know what's going on.
Of course.
Right?
Of course.
So, yeah, so then what happened after that?
And from a personal standpoint, I had to endure the fact that, every now and then, we had to go to the courts. And of course, the courts would say, we have to make a decision. Over time, I've discovered that actually, it took 2 persons to create children. I mean, to bring about the child. Of course,
yes.
And all of a sudden, the child is caught in a situation where, do I stay with my mom now, or do I stay with my dad? Can you imagine, as a father, I'm used to seeing the children all the time.
Yes.
None end, morning till evening. When I'm back from work, they run to me. But when the proceedings were going on, I had an empty home to come back to.
Must have been very difficult for you.
It was. I had to, basically, I couldn't work because you're used to a certain way of living, routine. And now you have to come back home to an empty home, and it's like, where are my children? When do I get to see them again? Oh, 2 weeks from now. And you get ready for the 2 weeks custody.
So, but now was there any point, so the entire time the custody was with the mom?
It alternated. At times the courts decided it's with the dad, at times with the mom. So at one point, I just sat down and said, it's affecting the children. We cannot be arguing and using the children as pawns.
Okay.
You know, so we've got to do something. So I opted for joint custody. And I think we sort of worked out things. I mean, there will always be rough edges.
Of course.
But I was there.
So you get to have the kids a few days a week, and then she gets to have the kids. So that's what joint custody means, right?
That's right.
Wow, okay. And now, looking back in hindsight, you know, do you think major damage has been caused to the kids? And do your boys come up to you and say anything to you that says, you know, I wish it was done differently, or, you know, I understand now, or what are they saying about it?
I think over time they begin to understand what's happening.
Sure.
You know, initially, I mean, I always like to use this adage where every now and then when a child comes back home from school, he runs to the refrigerator and they see a bowl of chocolates. It could be any type of chocolate. One fine day they come back home, they open the refrigerator and there are no more chocolates. It's like, what's happening? So the child actually matures to adjust and adapt to this environment where, hey, I know I have my mom on these days, I've got my mom on my dad on these days. What's important is for both parents to ensure that we don't create conflict with the children by telling them certain things that they should not be hearing.
Yeah, I mean, more often than not, when it's an ugly divorce or anything like that, when two human beings just don't agree with each other, you know, you would tend, human nature-wise, you know, to say, okay, you know, dad's not good, mom's not good. You know, so I think a lot of people out there need to be aware of this.
Controlling this. And of course, I would also appreciate if the system, you know, the legal system, the whole judiciary and all that, assists us in that process. Because it's too automated.
So you find it lacking in that regard?
Oh, of course.
Okay.
Because to me, it's like, you know, when you're getting married, it's a grand affair.
Sure.
You know, you've got the religious bodies involved and everybody's happy for you. But when you're getting a divorce, it's a very lonely road.
Okay.
And you're facing everything cold. And where does the children fit into that process? And to me, I mean, when you asked about trauma and all that, 2 weeks ago, very recently, my eldest boy calls me up and says, Dad, I scored 3.3 CGPA.
Okay.
So to me, it's like, you know, he's communicating. He's doing well in school. So I'm like, oh God, you know, he's okay.
Right.
You know, it was a sense
I think that's the biggest worry of a parent, you know, whether the kids are going to end up okay. Because you hear so many stories, you know, you hear about how, you know, the kids just become wayward because of the parents, you know, battles with each other and all that kind of stuff. But to try and keep them as neutral as possible, is that what you would advocate?
Precisely. You see, and I think, you see, that's where the legal system and all that can help. Because, yes, children from broken homes do come across as wayward, you know, and they are lost.
Yes.
Who do they turn to? Who do they actually turn to? If they can't turn to their parents or their dad, and there's a big war going on, right, between the parents. Who do they turn to? Do they call someone and say, or like befriend us? I feel like, you know. Yeah.
So who do they turn to?
That's the question. I can't answer that question. So PEMALIK was actually set up. In fact, the co-founder was Mr. Ratna.
Okay.
He is the chairman right now.
Sure.
And that was an issue we wanted to address, because who do these children turn to? How do we teach these parents that the marriage is broken, but that bond is not?
Right.
You know, the blood ties remain.
Of course.
And how do the parents, how do the dad relate to the child? How do the mom relate to the child? We've got to mediate these two. And that is important, to mediate both parties, warring parties, if I have to use that word.
I know, that's a difficult task, okay?
It's almost always he says, she says, right?
Sure. But now that you have so your boys are with you now.
Well,
do they live with you, or is it still a
well, the
50-50?
eldest, because the moment custody was awarded to me when he turned 16, actually.
Okay.
So I looked to the... And
is it automatic? Is it
not
how
really?
It works?
What happens
or
is
you've applied for that?
Yes, I have applied for that. What happens is, in the legal system, when a child turns 18, then there is no more custody arrangement.
Sure. And then he's free to choose wherever he wants to
Precisely.
go to.
But isn't it painful? Because all of a sudden, it's like I never had to choose. I come back home, I get to see my dad and my mom, and now the legal system is telling me, make a choice. What do you do in that?
It's tough, it's tough. But, you know, as you said, you know, you try and give them as much of a balance as you can give them. But what about yourself? I mean, how has being a single father, you know, how has it, what are its pros, what are its cons?
Being a single dad?
Yeah,
It's tough.
okay.
Let's be very frank. Initially, because I was used to the fact that I had a partner to assist with the upbringing of the children.
Okay.
But eventually, when the separation happened, I had to like be there all the time. I left my job.
Okay.
I was unemployed for about 2 years because early in the morning the children had to be prepared for school. One was going to kindergarten because he's being 4. The other was going to primary school.
Yeah.
So 2 separate avenues. And you see, I've always been a hands-on dad. I never had this school bus type of a thing because
So
previously...
you would send them to school. You would be
I
the
would
mom
wait.
and the dad.
Sort of.
Okay.
I'll be honest with you, I don't think I can actually replace a mom.
Of course.
Because a dad is a dad, and I would say a mom can't take that role. That's this whole genetic thing and all about, right?
Okay.
To me, there are some things that we can do well, and there are some things we can't.
Sure.
You know, there are some things that, you know, kids, they love to talk to the mom on some issues. And there are sometimes they'll come to the dad and says, I need this done, Dad, you know, this school fees, or would you... To them, it's like telling a dad, would you be present in school? I want you to watch me get my scrolls.
Right.
It's like...
So throughout the years, you have played that role. You've been trying to play both roles,
Yes.
right? And
I've
it's been
trying.
tough.
It's been tough, yes.
But you know, you survived it. Look, it's been how many years now? You know,
Yes.
about 10, 11 years.
Yes.
And what are the benefits, or what are the positive stuff that you've seen come out through all of this?
When they're with me, watching them grow, you know. You see, sometimes we are, after 5 years or 6 years, even those who are still together, for example, and having children, suddenly we say, hey, how come we didn't take a video of a child when he was 4 or 5?
Sure.
Or we didn't take a photo. And they don't miss that. Because all of a sudden, 10 years down the road, because the children are with them, they don't miss that. What I like to say is, whether you have your children with you or not, treasure every minute.
Okay, well, dads out there, please take heed, and moms as well. Treasure every moment, because they grow up so fast, right?
They grow up so fast, and you get this thing like, now you're telling me things, you know, and you know, like computers, for example, which they are much faster than us.
Sure.
Can you imagine? You know, my son comes up to me and says, "Dad, you're doing that the wrong way.
Right.
Give me your phone. Let me help you
Oh,
with the
wow.
setting." And I'm going
Okay.
like, "Wow, you've grown up, you know."
He certainly has.
You know, and I think from a single dad point of view, the benefit was because I've spent so much time with them, I found that I've been closer with them.
There's a good bond.
Yes,
Okay.
because I've missed them so much when they are away at times.
Of course.
There was a time during an ordeal that we went through, they were away like 2 years. I didn't see you.
Wow, that
Okay.
must have been really difficult for you.
Yes. You know, and I thank God I had some friends to help me. And but when they came back, I you know, you mature through that cycle, and watching them grow, and I treasure it. It's like I want to know what's happening. I really need to know. I'm never too busy. Forget about the job. Forget about everything. I know I'm being cruel to some dads who say jobs are important. Yes, it is. But you've only got X number of years before the child, be it a boy or a girl, is somewhere else.
Okay.
They're gone.
Yeah.
University, marriage, or whatnot. The next thing you know, we yearn for their grandchildren. Forget it. Yearn for your kids.
Sure, sure. Now, before we go for a break, I just want to ask you, which I asked you earlier, So what is this Association for Fostering Family Ties? What is that about?
One of the things that we are really keen to do is trying to change a system, the legal system, for example. You see,
So it's not a shelter home or nothing like that. So
No, it's
basically it's something to, a movement to try and, you know, make things better in society.
Precisely. We reach out to single parents, dad, moms. We like to help them undergo this process. You see, we can't stop a divorce from happening.